to the Web3 Prof Podcast.
All right, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. I am here with Adam Cai, who is the CEO and also co-founder of VirgoCX and the Virgo Group. Thanks for being with me here today.
Thank you for inviting me. Really appreciate that.
So, Adam, it's be great to talk to you. You co-founded and run a centralized exchange. It'd be great to hear some thoughts that you have in the industry. Before we get into that, tell me, what is the path that you took? How did you get into crypto? It's always interesting to hear, the journey that people take.
Sure. So I came from the TradFi space. After I graduated from Ivy back in 2011, my initial thoughts were really just trying to work for the traditional finance industry. Work for BMO for 4 years and then hedge fund for 3 years. So really, I am always a guy thinking that obviously the best way to make money, really to trying to become I guess very manageable in terms of the wealth accumulation is in the finance industry. So I'm working in hedge fund for 3 years, and the time when I really got into crypto or know about it is really the time when I was at the hedge fund, and my boss at the time, obviously was 2017 when the ICO Francis was on. So he invested into it and made 40 times out of that investment. 40 times the returns, and I was even actually given the opportunity to participate at the time, but I was a strong Warren Buffett believer at that time. I believe there's no value behind the project at all, so I didn't do it. I really regretted it, but that really got me to start to look at I guess the crypto project, blockchain. What does that mean? Why it has so much heat over those times. So after I spent 1 month or 2 months of time really trying to understand technology. And I feel like it's actually trying to solve a lot of issues where TradFi is really, lacking efficiencies on. Also decentralization is just not only a concept. It needs to solve real problems, in the industry.
Yeah.
And I start to read smart contracts. I start to understand, what's kind of the foundation for Bitcoin. And after I spent 2 months, I feel like I couldn't pull myself out. And then I just have to say goodbye to TradFi and devote myself into this. So that's why I quit a job and then started to actually, create my own venture. And the reason why I do Central Exchange is at that time, there wasn't even a real good, exchange trading platform that has a, good UI UX experiences. And also when I look at safety, security measures, really subpar to the financial systems. Because I think centralized exchange is not just a technology company, right? It has to have the financial service company standard, literally you're protecting people's money, right? So I feel like, that's area where I can get started, which is, sustainable if you do it well. And also it's creating values, to the people who want to get into the Web3.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. And so did you start off launching a centralized exchange? Is that kind of your first foray into it, or did you play around as a day trader for a while, or how did that go?
Good question. Obviously, back into 2017, everybody traded a bit, cryptos because of the, the price appreciation. But after I traded a while, I feel like, the trading itself doesn't really create values, right? You make money, lose money. It's it's just, speculations.
Yeah.
So I want to do something that is, really trying to increase adoptions, right? So what can increase adoptions? At that time, I still remember the Bank of Canada data, who owns cryptos, Bitcoins, actually, not crypto, in Canada was only 5%, 2017. So I was asking myself, what business I do can increase that number to 20, 30%?
Yeah.
Right? Then I can decide, okay, trading, is important. Why not create an exchange for people to trade? And also, I'm also trying to become the gateway in the sense that I don't list a lot of coins that is purely just formal kind of emotion behind it. I want to understand a bit more what can we list, what can we not list, trying to protect guys to the way that we can.
Okay.
So that's kind of the idea behind it.
Okay, interesting. So, right now in this moment, we're in this massive meme coin run, and you're kind of talking about you want to add coins to your exchange that have an inherent value. So how do you deal with that? Because maybe you don't want Bonk and you don't want whatever Doge, or I don't know what people are into, right?
Yeah, that's a very, very challenging questions. So this is really comes with, the the perceptions and how you understand about crypto, right? So when you talk about Bitcoin initially, even nowadays, people still ask me, what's the fundamental value for Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Like, it's really hard to explain, like from the traditional finance kind of foundation. So it's a really different word, I would say. So for us, we're really not trying to say that, which coin has fundamental values or not. Obviously, some coins have more use cases than others. But for us, what really we want to protect people away from is, certain tokens that may have, very short-term history, that may have potential smart contract risks, that may have, a lot of flawless design. So we want to stay away from the coins that have very low liquidities, which really can be manipulated on the price.
Right.
So as exchange, as a trading platform, we have to get the tokens people needed, to buy and sell, but also in the meantime it has to meet some of the minimum threshold to ensure that they're not getting into something that cannot even get out, or when they could have a 50% crash, whatever, not because of market, because of the design, the system mechanism for it. Yeah. So I think for us it's really a balance between customer demands and also how can we ensure that the time we do it, typically we're actually not the first one. We typically would watch the big exchanges such as Coinbase, Kraken, to see when they list that.
Yeah.
And that kind of gives us a signal where there could be more adoptions and the risks could be a bit lower.
So tell me about your exchange, VirgoCX. Why would I use that versus the competitors that we have in the marketplace today?
Good question. I think, first of all, VirgoCX is a crypto broker. Okay, so we are a registered entity with CSA across Canada, a registered dealer. So in terms of business side, what does crypto broker do? So basically you buy and sell crypto from me, right? So I'm the central counterparty to every single client's trade. So first of all, there's no trading commissions. On our platform, there are spread, obviously, depending on which coin you're looking at, depending on the liquidities, you pay different spread. And for crypto brokers, the customer segments we're trying to target are really the beginners. Okay, so who is looking for simplicity, right? When you're using your app, it's really how easy you can use, how intuitive it is, because they're actually new guys, right? They have no idea what the crypto is. Second, because we are a fiat gateway, right? You're using CAD, Canadian dollars, USD to trade it. So how smooth your funding channel is also very important. So right now, for example, if you deposit e-transfer with us, it's most times instant. It's directly, automatically, credit on your account. If you want to withdraw e-transfer out, it's also almost instant. It's fully API driven. So we not only have e-transfer, we have wire transfer, bill payment, credit card, debit card. So we kind of enable all these different funding channels, which Canada has.
So the on-ramping process is pretty simple for the regular new crypto buyer.
It has to be that way because these people, the first thing, the first time they get into the crypto space is, pulling money from their bank account, right?
Yeah.
And also the KYC process has to be streamlined. And also they're really worried about whether their assets can be safely protected. There shouldn't be any cases like FTX where the customer funds are being appropriated. So I think a combination of being a regulated exchanges in Canada, trading platform in Canada as a restricted dealer, and also the fact that we're having all those easy funnel channels for people to get into the money, to trade it, all the interface is super simple. So I think it provides value to those new beginners. And after that, they can obviously decide where they want to, withdraw crypto to, but will certainly act as a very nice beginning, step for them.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. And so when a person is putting a deposit on your platform through maybe an Interact transfer, do they have to transfer the dollars into USDC, or can they trade from Canadian dollars in their account directly into the cryptocurrency?
Yes. So the second option. So they can basically once they send us, let's say $100 through e-transfer, so their account just got credit $100 CAD. And we have over 60 pairs you can trade against CAD. You can decide where you want to trade, buy, or you want to sell. There's no direct conversion. So it's not a it's not like a wallet. It's not a payment gateway. Like we're literally like a trading platform where you can just buy and sell whenever you feel like it. And also there's an obvious advanced order type too. Limit order, market order, stop orders. You have all these too.
Okay, so you do have the more complicated features.
For sure, yeah.
Okay, that's great. All right, so as global regulation has been tightening up, and in Canada we've seen the exit of different exchanges, namely Binance, due to government regulation in Canada. How do centralized exchanges react to this? What changes do you think we're going to maybe continually have into the future?
Yeah, I think Canada has been very obviously vocal about protecting investors away from bad players, which can potentially damage your principles, basically getting your funds stolen. So I think Canadian regulators have done a fantastic job on that. So that's the reason why we see Binance and all the leading exchanges exit. So as a regular exchanges, obviously one benefit is you can stay compliant and getting the trust from the I guess customers, and also trying to understand where some of the things you have to improve in order to become very sustainable. But also the disadvantage obviously is every single business activities, if it's new, you got to get approved by the regulators, such as staking. And there's no derivatives allowed in Canada. There's no options, obviously, no futures, perpetual swaps. And also any kind of nuanced business models within the crypto, which is actually happening every day because this space is 724, right? Innovation keeps happening. But in order to bring those innovations to Canadian users, that waiting time could be pretty long.
Yeah.
And also a lot of them could not be approved, like in the end.
So can we leverage trade in Canada on centralized exchanges? No, nothing like that.
Not allowed at this point, yeah.
Do you think that's going to change?
Yeah, I think so. Like, obviously now, the exchanges now are moving to zero, right? So which is the SRO for the broker dealers. For traditional equity perspective, like they all the equity brokers definitely provide margin tradings. I think this is not a question of whether it will be allowed. It's a question when. Okay. And what's kind of the criteria, how much leverage you can put on, what's the margin requirement. So I think sooner or later it will be live, but obviously it will never get to 100 times. Yeah. If you go offshore, there will be nothing like that.
Have you seen Rollbit on Solana? It's 1,000x.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just unbelievable, really.
I mean, that sometimes literally not like you're literally have a worse chance of winning money compared to go to casino.
Oh, yeah, exactly. It's like I've tried it a couple of times with like $5 or $10, and it's just like. It's just insane how quickly you get liquidated. It's like 10 seconds and you're out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Probably not the best thing to be doing with your money.
Yeah.
Okay, so how many centralized exchanges do we have that the OSC and BCSC is approved?
I believe now is about somewhere around like 10 to 15.
Okay, yeah. So we have like ShakePay and Netcoins and you guys and Kraken, Coinbase, some of the bigger ones. Yeah. And we've obviously had some challenges here in Canada in the sense like we had VirgoCX here in Vancouver, which is one of the most famous stories in crypto, which created, I know lots of people that lost a lot on that. So when we're talking about, the custody of coins or where we keep our coins, are you guys encouraging customers to keep their coins on the exchange? Are you encouraging them to move them off into cold storage or a hot wallet or how do you take a position as a centralized exchange on this?
So as a centralized, I guess trading platform, like we obviously would like customers who can keep more cryptos and CAD with us because when they want to trade it, they can trade it anytime, right? So they don't have to, wait for that. So that's from business perspective, it's always good for us, right? To have more asset and custody, then obviously a lot of time translate to more trading volumes. However, like we don't really like say that, it's like, you have to do that, or like we don't even encourage people to do that.
Right.
Because like as a crypto broker, one of the challenge for us is we have limited business activities. Well, not business activity, limited business features compared to a lot of, I guess, DEX or offshore exchanges. So most people, if they are new beginners, like for buy and sell, they're probably good enough.
Yeah.
Like that part we can certainly fulfill all their demands. But once they kind of really level up themselves, become intermediary, traders, or even become professional traders, they're looking for something more. So obviously at that time, we'll just become a fee gateway to them.
Sure. Yeah. And is that a monetization strategy? Are you making money as a fiat gateway? And do you make money when people keep their crypto or their dollars on your exchange?
We don't actually make money by having more asset under custody. Like we actually don't do that because we don't have staking. We don't have yield product.
Right.
Yet. So I mean, staking we're definitely looking at it to enable this year for sure. But on the other side, really like when people put in crypto with us, it's actually a pure cost item. The way I say that is we actually have to maintain insurance for the cryptos with custody.
Right.
So the more crypto under custody on our platform, obviously the more insurance we'll have to pay.
I see.
Insurance fee we'll have to pay.
Oh, interesting.
So if they don't trade, it's bad.
Right.
But right now it's good because people trade more.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've seen the ETF in the United States be approved recently. We've had Bitcoin ETF in Canada for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I think. And so now that we have the, like a dozen Bitcoin ETFs approved in the United States, how does this impact the retail investor, just the regular guy on the street? How does this change anything for us as Bitcoin buyers and holders?
Right. So Bitcoin ETF definitely simplify the whole investment process into Bitcoin. So whoever has a security a broker account, there are actually a number of brokers already supported those ETF for you to trade it. So if people just want to invest into Bitcoin, so ETF is certainly a really good place because also right now all the ETF management fee is pretty low, so it's very cost efficient. So that's actually the reason why we see these days Bitcoin price keeps going up, and also we're seeing huge inflow of I guess net inflows for all these major ETF providers. Is because people are allocating, right? So they are now having an easy way to allocating a small portion of the asset into it. So just getting that adoption increased. So that's the reason why Bitcoin price keeps going up. It's not really like people are putting leverage per se. It's just people are, slowly putting money into it and adoption goes up. So that's what we're seeing. So obviously, so people may kind of think about, whether this is going to really take a lot of, I guess, trading volume out of the trading platform. Not necessarily, because obviously, first of all, there's only one Bitcoin ETF, right? There's no other coin ETF yet. Secondly is when you invest in Bitcoin ETF, you don't really own any cryptos, right? So there's no point you can trying to send anywhere in the world for the payment purpose or trying to give to anybody. There's no way you can do it.
Yeah.
Right? So it's still very different than investing into crypto. And if you want to even participate in anything other, on that side, if you do anything on that side, you will never be able to do it. Even now, the Bitcoin ecosystem is super hot, right? About, Bitcoin layer 2, ordinals, Bitcoin NFTs, I don't know, all these different new concepts, ETF wouldn't be able to let you do that.
Yeah. And so just to clarify one thing, so when you say, you buy an ETF, you don't actually hold the Bitcoin, so you can't do anything with it. You can't sell it and then buy Ethereum or Solana. You can't use it to transfer to your friends or buy meals at restaurants, but it does reduce the available supply of Bitcoin for people to buy, which, obviously has had a massive impact on price today. Bitcoin sitting at an all-time high of $69,500. So it's moving quite quickly, which is pretty exciting. How do you envision the integration of blockchain with AI? Because that's the AI narrative for the last year has been a big deal. When ChatGPT kind of came out just over a year ago, it's sure exciting to see. So what's this have to do with blockchain? Sure. Yeah. I mean, the AI space has been extremely heated. Shortly after the as you mentioned the ChatGPT, now we even have the new thing about Sora, right? Yeah. The whole thing about producing a video using just a text, inputting text and they give you a new video. So I think AI is certainly very, very hot. It's a huge faster developing industry. So blockchain itself really is just a consensus layer, right? So it's trying to secure the data, trying to provide places where data can safely stored, cannot be manipulated, transparent.
So I think AI, if you see recent kind of some of the market developments, there are a lot of AI blockchain project has been really bought up by a lot of investors because they believe that AI needs certain features to be put on blockchain. So such as, as I mentioned, like the data preservation, about, also, some mechanism, like consensus mechanism trying to verify data on some core component of AI. And also the ability to use tokens to incentivize developers on the different AI subnets. There could be one project, like now I'm not trying to promote anything, but there's one called BitTensor, right? So they are having these incentive models, obviously getting all those AI researchers using machine learnings, trying to create those subnets for each node, so they can contribute everything toward this whole blockchain, which is really AI driven on a consistent layer. So I think with the blockchain technology, it can help AI on quite a few dimensions, which I'm actually going to speak tomorrow in our conference, more like into those details. But it's really not trying to solve everything because blockchain is still small, very slow. Like the scalability is not there, considering about computing power that AI needed.
Right.
So we have to pick the right angle to integrate, obviously.
So it's still the very early. I mean, it's early days of AI, but it's even the earlier days of AI and blockchain, right?
Very early, yeah.
So I guess then, does this present a investment opportunity because we're in the early days and these companies that are trying right now? I mean, many of them will probably fail, but picking the right one could be an effective investment strategy. Are you going to give us investment advice?
Obviously, concerning the publicity of this video, I'm trying to really stay compliant, not to saying anything will go up.
Of course. Stay compliant.
Yeah, but I think AI and blockchain, like, it's going to be a very important sector for the next 2 years, no doubt. And I'm actually very curious to see, in the end of the day, because AI is actually already proven itself can be like massively adopted.
Yeah.
We have like millions of people using ChatGPT these days, right? The thing we really don't have for blockchain is, other than people investing into crypto or like speculating into it, there's not a single application that is a killer app yet. Like we're really to the level that AI would do, right? So I think if we can combine AI to blockchain, maybe using blockchain technology to fulfill certain functions of AI, then that application can be a killer thing.
Right.
Then people will know blockchain more than just an investment vehicle.
Okay, that's great. I like that.
Yeah.
I think this is certainly an area for people to watch. That's for sure. So proof of work is a big topic of conversation. Environmentalists don't like it. Some governments don't like it. And we have all kinds of other different consensus mechanisms and different blockchains using proof of stake and different other consensus mechanisms. We have some that are more environmentally sustainable than others. Flow blockchain and Solana with Speed, some pitching themselves as like the environmentally sustainable blockchain, things like that. Right. What are your thoughts on this kind of sustainability topic when it comes to blockchain?
Sure. I mean, this is a really a topic being like kind of debated a lot because of the high consumption for the electricity for the Bitcoin mining rigs. This is not going to get any time reduced as more and more people mining for Bitcoin, especially considering the price right now. There are just going to be more miners. It's going to consuming more electricity as the whole like hash rate becomes higher, right? So it's just going to go that way. So I think so people still believe that proof of work is the safest consensus mechanism because of all these power being consumed. But actually Ethereum, they turned to POS, right? A while ago, as using the staking as a way to validate transactions. So a lot of issues, obviously POS, I'm not a really technical guy to that level to okay, which one is good or bad. I'm not trying to debate that. Yeah. But I think POS certainly is already proven to be a good alternative to POW. So a lot of other, protocols who want to use POS, the issue for them is they don't have enough validators or enough money at stake. So their protocol is not secure enough. So that's why these days the restaking, one project called Agent Layer, you probably have heard about it. has become very heated because they're now introducing the idea, like why not we also use Ethereum networks, the security level for ETH, right? Trying to secure other protocols by using this staking layer.
Yeah.
So I think that is getting a lot of heated. And then you can see actually 80 layer, they have more than $10 billion locked up.
Wow.
It's pretty crazy.
That's unreal.
Just really, it's only for a couple months.
$10 billion.
Yeah.
And so when people are staking, what kind of rewards are they earning?
Right. So they're going to really earn two types of rewards. One is obviously, the staking rewards for ETH, right? You can directly staking with interlayers, or you can stake with Lido, Rocket, and maybe, you get that staking tokens, stake there. So the first thing is obviously the yield that you participate into the POS networks for ETH. The second is depending on what project you will participate on that side. And that protocol will also give you incentives if you use the staking options using Ethereum to help and to validate transactions.
Right.
So you can get into two layers.
Yeah.
But just one thing is that feature currently is not even live for Engine layer.
I see.
So people will get double rewards essentially.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Interesting. It certainly is a fascinating conversation. I've heard, especially the Bitcoiners talk about how Bitcoin, the usage of wasted energy becomes really an interesting point, because we've got all this wasted energy or stranded energy out there that's, happening in flaring or ethanol from garbage dumps, or, even hydro projects that produce a lot of energy in the spring, and people don't need that much energy at that time. And so what do we do with that wasted energy? And Bitcoin miners seem to be able to come and pick up that unused wasted energy and use it for value. And then that becomes a revenue generator for that energy project, because now they've got this new source of revenue, which may help them do good things for the community that they're in. Do you believe this? Is this really a accurate narrative as far as Bitcoin can actually do good? It's not always just bad?
I actually believe that. Yeah, I actually heard about this kind of project a few years ago. Like people really just trying to recycle the energy that being produced by the mining rigs. I think trying to do something else, repurpose that. I haven't followed that area for a while, but if the mining facility is big enough, you're talking about a lot of energy being lost if you don't recycle it, right?
Right.
So I think this is certainly an area where it can create some publicities on the good side,
right?
And it can also reduce the total cost if you can actually make that to become revenue. So it's just adding more revenue to the mining companies. Yeah.
One of the interesting ones, and maybe you've seen this, is I think it's a pretty cool story where this gorilla reserve in the Congo, I think it is, during COVID, they had no tourists coming there. And so they got all these gorillas, and they got to pay all these park rangers to fight off people who try to kill them. They try to kill the gorillas because they want to, harvest their organs and do different things like that for various different purposes, and they want to poach these animals. And so because they lost all their revenue, they had a hydro dam though. And so they put mining rigs in the hydro dam. This has generated as much revenue as the tourists did in all previous years. So now they don't actually necessarily need the tourists now to be able to support the gorilla reserve. The mining rigs pay for the whole entire budget that they need off of the excess energy from this hydro plant that they have. So it's a pretty cool story, and it's certainly interesting to hear this kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, the whole the crypto space, because it's new, it creates a lot of revenue opportunities for some industry which they may never imagine to be associated with it.
Yeah.
This is actually a fascinating story. I didn't know that before, but it's really fascinating.
Yeah. There's cool stuff like that. I mean, this is what crypto Twitter's so good at, is finding these things, right? Okay, let's wrap things up here. What advice do you have for the audience here in 2024 who are looking at market sentiments and thinking, what does the future look like?
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a very interesting question, right? So after I personally have been through a couple of bullish and bearish cycle, right, in the crypto sector. So I think first thing is, for all the people who want to get into crypto, you have to stay aware of the risks, right? You can make a lot of money, no doubt. These days, for the past 2 quarters, a lot of people make millions of dollars because of the Bitcoin price went up, like by a lot, almost like getting to 150, 200%, right? So it's that range. But you have to keep risk in two ways. One is never get yourself to, I guess, too hyped. Like putting all your money, getting mortgage out, betting on it's going to be tripled, doubled, and then you just got leverage out. If you don't know how to, manage risk, don't ever play actually perpetual swaps, right? Don't do any of that. And also the second thing, aware of risk, is there are so many scammers, right? Just like if you go to VirgoCX support center, you will see we have an article talking about all those kind of different scam cases for this thing.
Yeah.
We even sometimes better than police, I guess. Like how many cases we have seen for cryptos. So if you make money, like don't just easily get people cryptos. They promise you investment returns. People romance scams, all kind of that stuff. Really manage your well on your crypto wallet. Like don't touch any smart contract. You don't know what it is, right? And your wallet just one day got drained out. We're seeing all these cases, so make sure that you stay aware of the risk. So the second thing, I think I still believe we're probably at the beginning of the cycle, like still the early stage. So, but because of the recent kind of cycle, it's already pretty heated. So it's going to be a lot of volatilities coming, and there are going to be new narrative this year too. Like you're talking about like Bitcoin ecosystems, like staking, like you're talking about decentralized physical infrastructure network, right? There's a lot of like AI blockchain, like all those different topics. So pick the angle you feel like is most interested in. Do enough research before you pick which project you want to invest, and ideally understanding the foundations of it. And I think with adoption goes up, if you actually don't know what to do, maybe just buy some Bitcoin ETF or come to VirgoCX to buy some, coins, like just not trying to actively trade it and make yourself a self-millionaire next month. Just set a realistic expectation, and in a bullish cycle, everybody is going to be well rewarded.
Right.
But don't become too greedy. Like that's what I'm trying to get at.
I mean, that's the hardest thing, right? Is like greed sure gets you, especially when you can leverage trade and like, well, why not 10x or 50x? I mean, why not 100x, right? And all of a sudden you're liquidated. And I may have been guilty of these types of things. So that's good advice, Adam. I appreciate that. It's been really good chatting with you. I think it's great to learn about VirgoCX, some of the services that you offer, also your history and path to get into crypto. I appreciate you being with me here today, Adam. For those of you who are watching, please subscribe to Web3 Prof podcast. I would love to hear from you, feedback, and check out upcoming guests. Adam, thanks for being with me here today.
Thank you for inviting.